What's up? I know it's been a long time since you've seen or heard from me or anything, so I'm going to give you a brief update before we go on to discuss about this build that I partake for the past few weeks. So, on the Hummel, I took a pause on it because it was destroyed. Well, part of it was destroyed. So, I'm looking for a new kit right now to replace it so that I could do a new video, and hopefully I'll bring that out here shortly. Or not shortly, but later on down the road. I have been out quite significantly due to I had major arm and wrist surgery. That is. So basically, I thought I injured it back in the late 90s when I was in the military. But come to find out that it was partially true. Apparently, my ulna bone was grown longer than my radial bone, so basically it was pushing into my wrist, causing internal swelling and bleeding into the wrist. So to fix it, they had to basically slice me open, how the doctor put it, they flayed me basically. They inserted the metal plate. Then they took these two micro saws or something and cut the bone, basically breaking it. It took about 3 millimeters of bone out, and then shortened it, screwed the plate in and everything to keep it nice and intact. And then they decided to go in and scope my wrist and to clean all the scar tissue out and everything. And come to find out that I did suffer a significant injury to the wrist, or not the wrist, excuse me, the ligament, one of the main ligaments that controls the fingers and wrists. And so basically they tighten it, and then they patch me up, and then now I'm going through a lot of physical therapy to regain my strength and motor skills of the wrist and arm. So far I've been doing it now for 6 weeks. I had the operation on January 10th, and so about a week after my surgery and everything, I decided to go ahead and build this kit. The reason why I choose this kit to build, because it was easy, not a whole lot of PE, not a whole lot of small parts or anything, so I didn't want to, later around just be bored to death. I had to, tinker with something. So, oddly enough, I did not experience any pain or nothing. So, cutting things with my hand and everything, in like a makeshift cast, and sanding and everything wasn't all that bad, because really I wasn't moving the wrist or anything. I was just basically moving the arm. So, yeah. So the kit that I choose to build itself was this Takom's Jagdtiger 2-in-1 kit, the early late. So I'm going to go ahead and show you all the parts that's in the kit in a photo slideshow. I think that's a lot easier than me going through and talking about it. I do have to say that the cast texture on the mallet and everywhere else was pretty good. I'm not sure if it's like a rose steel or whatever, but it does have that texture. So be careful when you're sanding and slicing and dicing and everything. So, and then I'm also going to show you a slideshow of all the aftermarkets that I put in it too. So hopefully it'll give you some idea of what I use, and you can go and reference it or whatever you want to do. So without further ado, here's a slideshow. Okay, guys. Like I said, this was a 2-in-1 kit. You could build the early variant or the late production. I wanted to choose the late production. So basically, there is some minor differences to it, and so the instruction itself actually states which one to make, which is a lot easy. If I could show you an example here. Yep. So anything with the one boxed in, that is the early type, and anything with the -2 boxed in, that's a late type. So just make sure you're diligent in choosing which one that you want to build, and not to mix and match or anything like that. So this is the built a kit for the most part. It went together pretty well for the most part. I did have trouble adding this front mallet in. Let's see if I could find it in the instructions here. Yep, right there. So basically, you already put the hole on the gun and everything, and then slide it in there, which was a pain in the butt. In hindsight, I think I would have added it on when it was totally off the chassis. Probably would have been 10 times easier to put in. Try not to, add all the little pieces in there, because you will knock them over and lose it or whatever. Luckily, I didn't. I did have to fill in some pieces because I think that's my undoing and not the kit itself. The kit did came with a what do you call it? A 2-piece barrel, which I'm not a fan of or anything. Or is this actually a 3-piece? Yeah, actually, it's more of a 3-piece. You slide into 2 halves, and then the front end goes in the top. I'm not a big fan of that, so I decided to replace these with the Aber metal barrel. I did do surgery on it. Basically, I had to glue in. Sorry. So I did basically glue everything in there, and then I measure that, and then from that dimensions, I go ahead and slice it or cut it off, actually, like this. Unfortunately, the little tab piece that's on the metal barrel does not fit through here. It was actually way too small, so I had to super glue it and hold it in there, put more super glue, and try to reinforce it as much as I can so that it doesn't pop off. The rear practically is self-explanatory. The PE was not all that bad, especially with my wrist and hand issue. It wasn't that bad. All in all, it was a pretty easy kit, pretty simple kit to put together. It probably took me over a month and a half to build because of my surgery and everything, but I guarantee you I probably would have built it within a week or so, 2 at the latest. There's a lot of complaints I do have about this kit. I want to say that this kit was basically what's called a blitz, and it's probably because they designed it to where it's just going to be an easy, quick build and not a whole lot of photo etch or small pieces or anything like that. So yeah, so a lot of issues that I had with it is basically stuff that I know that other companies such as Dragon, for example, does the little detail better. For example, the MG, the machine gun, I replaced it with the Dragon one due to the fact that I would have had to drill out the hole from the kit itself, and I tried to do it and I screwed it up, so I ended up just hacking half of it off and replaced it with the dragon barrel, which was pretty simple to do. I just kind of almost mirrored what I did with the metal barrel itself. Another issue I had about the kit was the tools. The tool clamps, basically, I have an example. This is the early version. If I could have something dark to show you with here. Okay, so if you look itself at the shovel, I don't know if it's going to focus, but anyways, the tool clamp isn't that bad, but however, they molded the clamp as a solid piece instead of a hollow piece. So you could easily have a small drill bit and try to drill it out, but I destroyed it, the other one. So Adam Man and Panzermeister 36 Evan turned me onto these 3D clamps that I really like. Actually, they're not that bad. They're very simple to do. I don't have to worry about drilling the what we call it, the clamp holder thing, but I did have to do surgery because it won't fit, because obviously it doesn't open and close. So I had to basically cut one end, slide it in, and then glue it back together again, which is, you know, not all that bad considerably. I think it just gives the detail a lot better. Anyways, if I could try to, that's not gonna focus very well. I'll post photos at the end. You see that the detail is much better. However, I did replace the we call the wire cutters with the dragon ones, because it would have been a pain in the ass try to, you know, replace that. So I just thought maybe no one would notice. Maybe, I don't know. I think that's only the two things that I saw that I really had issues with the kit. Yeah, the barrel and the tool clamps I wasn't a big fan of. Everything else was pretty good. Oh, I didn't like the two-piece barrel, obviously, and the tracks. I did not like the tracks. I went with Friul tracks. Basically, the kit tracks, which I guess people like them, some people don't, but I'm not a big fan of plastic tracks. I really like these metal tracks. To me, they're a lot easier to build, and it has a natural sag, and it's nice and heavy, you know. So yeah, I really like these metal tracks. However, it took me about, I don't know, 5.5 hours to do both sides of the tracks, which on my next build, I am trying R models for the first time, and so hopefully that would actually bring my build time down significantly with metal tracks. So if I like it, then I may just go with them instead of Friuls, and have the Friuls be a backup in case of I can't find any or they don't have any in stock. Okay, and from the photos of the actual vehicle itself, it was destroyed by its own crew. So it's just a picture of it just abandoned. The spare tracks itself was like this, but they also added an extra link for the other two. So it did not state that in the instructions, but if you would build this variant, it does need those, you know, extra links. If you guys, I don't know, cared or anything, but What else? Oh, and I did not like this light at all, even though I couldn't find a spare. But I don't. They this real light, they molded everything together. What I did liked about Dragon was is two separate parts, that part there and a clear piece to where you could just paint it and glue it on there just fine. But it's gonna be a little tricky, I guess, trying to paint that light, which I know world issues right now, right? So the wheels itself goes together pretty self-explanatory. The sprocket as well. I am adding the side skirts on the photo itself. It had all the side skirts on, so none of them were missing. But if you did notice in the picture, this top part was up and cockeyed and everything because of the explosion I guess they had internally, and then the engine deck was off as well. So what else? I think that's the only thing I could think of. All in all, this was a good kit to build. I recommend this to anywhere from beginner to advanced. I didn't have no issues hardly building this kit at all. I decided this front mallet, which I think it's my own doing. Maybe, I don't know. I know that Takom is also coming out with the Porsche variant, which the difference is the Porsche had 9 suspensions and road wheels. The Henso had 8, or vice versa. I forgot which one was which. Yeah, I think excuse me, I had it backwards. I think it's the Porsche that had the 8 road wheels, and the Henso had the extra 9 and a little longer. Sorry, my bad. I'm not used to making videos and trying to, come up with things in my head, and with anxiety and things rushing in my head a million miles an hour, I kind of get things to fudged up a little bit. So my apologies. I'll try to do better next time by taking proper notes. And I guess rehearse or something. I guess, I don't know. But anyways, next thing I'm gonna do is start painting this bugger, and then hopefully I get it done soon in a couple weeks and show you the final review here in hopefully in a few weeks. How I feel at this point after I built my wrist and arm was basically felt pretty good. It does feel good building something again, even though it's been a slow process and everything. So hopefully it'll go by faster. The next kit I'm going to do is going to be quite intense, but not a whole lot of PE. So stay tuned for that. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great and glorious week, and I hope to chat with you soon. Build on, my friends. Peace.